curious where the 1222 went, it's gone, on to its new owner. Tune in soon, I'll tell you a bit more about that. But anyways, we're on our way out to the sawmill. Just a minute ago I was doing a bit of grooming, and then well, I went to run the sawmill after getting it turned around, and sure enough the battery was dead, so I had to charge that thing up. It's been real cold here lately, and because of that, you might see over my right shoulder we've got a load of firewood. That's going to be for in the house. For right now though, let's do one thing at a time. Let's head back out to the sawmill. I'm going to give you a bit of an update on things. I'll also show you where we're at with the sawmill shed project, and hopefully after today it'll warm up, which it probably won't, but at the very least it'll warm me up cutting some lumber. Here we go. All right, we made it. As you can tell, I've got 6 posts up. Things are good. It's a beautiful afternoon here in central Ontario, Canada, albeit the temperatures are dropping off rapidly. And so there was probably no better time than the present to get these posts in. Now that they're in the ground, I don't have to worry quite as much. I can build the rest of this even if it starts snowing. In fact, I have heard of a few flurries not too far from here. And so I'm sure flurries will be on the horizon for this location real soon. But the posts are in. We'll get the beams up real soon. I just have to go and get those trees cut down, and then I'm going to do a bit of work to them, which I'll show you in a future episode. And then we'll get them on top of those posts. And I've been reading all your comments out there. Everyone who's been giving me suggestions how to do that. I do appreciate it. It is going to be a bit of an effort. As you know, if you watch the channel, I'm all by myself out here. And so anything I do, I have to plan accordingly. And I think we can do it though. Anyways, that'll be for another day. Just a minute ago, you saw me out here. I was doing some land plane work. You saw me clearing some stuff away, knocking down the high spots, smoothing things out. That's just going to allow me to move around here a little bit easier, especially when I start getting up on a ladder. If this piece of equipment looked different to you, it's because it is. This is relatively new to me. The good folks at Farmer Equipment, they loaned me this, so I'm going to be using this for the next little while. I have been using a land plane for quite some time. This is now made in-house by Farmer Equipment, and so they gave me a chance to try it out, and I'm very happy with it. It's a good bit heavier than my last unit. As you can see here, super thick steel. It's still got the shoes, or the running plates, I'll call them, for down along the ground. Nice and sturdy that way, fully adjustable. Moving them up and down, that allows for me to adjust the height of those cutting edges or leading edges, and that allows me to take a bigger or lesser cut. I had it quite a ways down today because it was all dirt. I had the scarifiers all the way up, just more or less using the blades on there to knock things down. But if I understand right, I think this thing is right around 900 pounds in weight. So that extra weight is going to come in handy, especially when I'm going down and really digging in deep, because the more weight you can put on the ground with something like that, the better. Keeping in mind a 3-point hitch doesn't have down pressure. More weight, the better. We'll leave that for another time. As I said, today we're heading here, heading over to the sawmill. You saw me move it. It was sitting way back there, and then I moved it up here, and I positioned it here because we're going to saw some wood. I need wood to build that structure, and I've got some logs ready to go. These logs, I didn't really know what we were going to do with them, and as you can tell, they've been up here for a while. You can actually see where insects have bored into it. So they're not pristine, but we're going to make the best of it. We'll see if we can make some 4x4s or maybe 2x4s out of it. I'm going to use that for some of the framing. Some of the bigger stuff down here I'll make into rafters, like that one and that one over there. All of these logs I didn't want to cut down just because I knew I wasn't going to be sawing them immediately, but I cut them down anyways because these were the trees that were on the perimeter there of where the saw shed was going. So we'll get them cleaned up today, make rafters if we can, make 2x4s if we can, and that'll provide for the roof framing. I need rafters, I need ceiling joists, I need collar ties, I need a ridge board up there, and obviously I need 2 beams. Got a bit of a material cut list in my head, so we're going to get down to it today. And just a friendly reminder, make sure you empty out your lubrication tank. I just emptied mine out now that we're getting freezing temperatures. I also went ahead and charged the battery. It had been sitting for a while. Probably haven't fired this thing up in a good 3 weeks or so. So let's...
completely plugged.
Well, there's a few more pieces of lumber. I'm gonna go get my tractor though, or maybe the forks for the mini skid steer there. That way I can load up the bigger logs, and that's a relative term. I don't have that big of logs, but bigger for me. Check it out, that blade cut real well here today. I do really like those Ripper 37s. They cut really flat, and you saw those logs, they weren't the cleanest things going, and so there's a bit of grit in there, but I find they hold their edge well, which is nice. So nice 2x4s. We'll get those out of the sun though. I never leave them out in the sun. They'll warp like crazy. I'll put them up under shade, get them stacked up, and they'll be ready to go. And then we're heading out to the forest. Next time around, I'm going to go out. I'm going to have to fire up the chainsaw. I'm going to find what I'm going to use for a beam, cut it down, and then I got to figure out what I need to do to process it to get it up on top of those posts. What I'm thinking, and maybe I shouldn't release this yet, but what I'm thinking is I might have to flatten one edge of it at the very least so that it sits up there nicely on the posts. I would like to leave the log look, if you know what I mean. You know how I debark stuff, and that way it looks a little less like dimensional lumber, a little more like a tree. I'm not too sure yet though. I got to make sure that the connection between the post, the beam, and the rafters are all solid. A flat surface really helps with that, especially nailing. So I think that'll be to be determined. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. It will work, just not sure how. The post, the beam, the rafters, solid connection has to be for this project. Just not quite sure how we're going to get from there to here. Anyways, I know one thing. That's it for me here today. If you have any questions about my setup here, make sure you put it down below. And as always, if you could do me that big favor, if you did like this video, make sure you like it, subscribe, and hopefully I see you next time.